we've always been a little reluctant to do that at times. And I'm always afraid too, if we lay people off, we won't get them back. But like you said, if you invest in your culture and you treat people right, sometimes going to another shop really is the best thing that can happen for them to appreciate, what they have.
And when it comes to the scaling up, I think we kind of like to get into challenges where we get out of our comfort zone. And if it is scaling up and something that we're not typically used to, then it's like, okay, let's do it. Now we try to plan the best we can and make the right decisions, but at the same time, we look at those kind of challenges as a positive and just try to roll with it.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
We have some notes here, but we basically wing it. So if you're cool with winging it,
absolutely, I think it's the best way. And Matthew, I got to say, first off, man, just doing a little bit of research on your company and your family history with this being fifth generation. And 100, what is it? Not since 1905 was
1902. Don't sell me short there.
Yeah,
1902. Yeah,
1902.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. We're since 1980, and I thought that was a long time. I'm second generation, but man, kind of reading a little bit about y'all's story, that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, the book over my shoulder here is the full story. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We'll send you a copy in the mail.
Oh, please do.
As a thank you for being on here. Yeah, I'd love
that'd be great.
Share that with you. Yeah, I think you'll appreciate it. It's folks that are in our industry or in a family business, I think, can really relate to the story. So, yeah, but thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely.
Casey's going to do the intro, and then we'll dive in.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. I'm your host, Casey Velker, sitting here virtually with my co-host, Matthew Nix, and a special guest, Jason Hayes. I just want to really start off and say thanks for listening to Making Sparks. Matthew and I have been doing this now for almost a year and a half, and I think we actually have some loyal listeners, like one or two, so that's good. So anyway, Matthew, you want to introduce who we have today?
Yeah, Jason Hayes, and he is a fellow fabrication owner and leader, and so very excited to talk to him today. I always love hearing from other folks in our industry. I learn something every time. And, Jason, looking at your website, very impressive. Looks like a very impressive operation and interesting work you do. And you shared with me before we started that you're second generation family business. So love to hear a little bit about that too. So please introduce yourself to our listeners and we'll get rolling.
Good. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the honor of being on here with you. Jason Hayes. So Coat Fabrication has been in business since 1980. My parents actually started it, Kenny and Donna Hayes. It actually started as a painting company only. That's how they came up with the name Top Coat.
I figured that Top Coat. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get a lot of questions. We even did a kind of a pivot about 8 years ago, to focus strictly on fabrication. Now we do painting too, but so many people asked us if we were going to keep the name, but we had that name Top Coat had so much history, and so we didn't want to do away with it. So now we're called Top Coat Fabrication. But so we threw in the word fabrication at the end, hoping that let everybody know what we do. But yeah, so I'm like I said, I'm second generation. I've been in the business since about 1997 or 98. I started right out of high school. I worked the summer out of high school, went to college. I went to Texas A&M for 2 semesters right out of high school, but then they suggested that I leave because I wasn't ready for college. So my plans changed, ended up coming home, went back to work in the business, started at the bottom. I was just a helper, just trying to make money. I had really no direction in life, no goals, just, okay, now I need to survive. And my parents said I can't live with them for free anymore. So had to do some work, and really just was kind of treading water in the business. We were we were a major offshore construction company at that time. So when the business started in 1980, it didn't take long until the offshore industry here in the Freeport, Texas area kind of grabbed my dad's attention. So he started doing work on the offshore platforms for several different companies. And that led to a lot of business. And that was our bread and butter for most of the late 80s and all of the 90s into the early 2000s. So that was the majority of what we did, was this offshore construction. We had a tiny little bit of fab, but it was just for the projects that we were doing offshore. So after that, the BP spill that happened was a real game changer in the offshore industry here in our area, at least in the Gulf. And the government's adjustments to that spill and the things that they put into place after that spill really made it almost impossible for some of these smaller operators, which were our big customers, to be profitable in the offshore industry. So all of the platforms that we used to go work on, they ended up starting to come out of the water instead of going in. So we were really literally working ourselves out of a job by going out and doing these platform removals. And it was a great couple of years, good business. But literally when we got done, it was like, okay, now we don't have any work because all the platforms are gone. So that's when we decided to really do a pivot with our business. Say, okay, since we don't want to be a service company anymore doing offsite work, let's just concentrate on fabrication, because we had a couple of great guys on the team that really were knowledgeable and we felt like we could really be successful. So that's when we just decided to do a pivot. And like I said, we sold the facility that we were in. It was based on an offshore service company. It was a dockside. We had crew boats and supply boats that would come in and out, sold them fuel, and everything that we were was based on the offshore industry. So we had to do a big divide there. So we sold our facility, bought a new piece of land, which is where we currently are. Tiny little town called Jones Creek, Texas. We have one stoplight. That's how big the city is.
Sounds about like Poseyville.
Hey, beat us.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Y'all got one? You don't have one?
We don't got a stoplight.
Oh, man. Man, we got a Dollar General now, too. We're moving up.
Oh, we got one of those.
Yeah, everybody's got a Dollar General.
Everybody's got a Dollar General. Yeah. So, yeah, we were blessed to find this piece of property. It was a cow pasture when we bought it. Turned it into a shop, and we've expanded the shop. I think the building itself, two or three times since we've been here. We've expanded the yard 2 or 3 times since we've been here, just, slowly at a little bit at a time, adding on to our capacities. And so that's kind of gotten us where we are today. We do a lot of business for chemical plants here in our area. We have quite a few. We have big companies like Dow Chemical, Olin. We also have a couple of Chevron Phillips and Phillips 66 facilities. So, and in all honesty, most of our business, while we've been in business, we didn't work for any of these chemical companies that were right here in our backyard. We focused on the offshore. Oil and gas was our bread and butter, which anybody in oil and gas knows when oil prices are great, business is great. But when oil prices are bad, business is horrible. So we had these huge fluctuations in business. It was great. We would make hay while the sun was shining, but then those valleys got deep, really a struggle. Even as a kid, I remember some of those struggles that my parents were going through in those tough times, man, and how bad it was on them, how stressed they were, and just trying to make ends meet. My dad was always been a great leader, so he's always trying to make sure he takes care of his people and, keeping them so they can have food on their table, but at the same time looking out for the business so that the business can help succeed in the long run. And man, you talk about a real struggling act sometimes. So getting to witness that, it's been a huge blessing for me to get to see kind of that side of the business, and to now have worked my way up into the business and be in the second generation. Now we just get to see where my dad is still the CEO. My mom is the vice president and I'm the president, and just getting to be part of this and getting to see where we can take it from here. I have big dreams and big goals, and can't wait to just see where the road takes us and how we get there.
Are there any third gen involved yet, or potential, or?
So my son, I have 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. My oldest son is 16, and right now he says he'd love to come get involved in the business, but this summer when he's out of school, he's going to be working here for the first time, and I'm going to have him, outside with the crews. And so after this summer, that might change. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the best way to find out.
He's a typical kid, so he thinks, he gets to walk in and just sit at my desk, and on day one. And that's kind of what I thought when I was his age. But when he gets a little taste of what the real work is, he might change his mind.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah. So hopefully, I would love for him too. I have no idea what the future holds. I don't have any pressure to any of my family to get involved. I don't know if I might want to sell the business one day, turn it into something different. I have no idea.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips, and I gotta tell you about our new show, Lights Out. When someone talks about being lights out, what comes to mind? For me, it's Michael Jordan. He's got the ball, the game's on the line. Or it's Leo Messi taking that ball up to take a penalty in a penalty shootout. These guys are elite and they're unstoppable, and you just know they're not going to miss. But I also think about the technology, automation, process, and most importantly, the mindset of the manufacturing leaders with the best shops in the world. Every episode will equip and inspire you to run lights out so you can sleep soundly while your shop never stops. Because we all know, if you're not making chips, you're not making money. So check out the new Lights Out podcast by Making Chips. I will see you there.
How has your role transitioned as you become more of a leadership role in the second generation? Because we got a lot of listeners that are going to be that right where you're at, that or where you were earlier in your career, where you're the second generation that's starting to take over probably a little bit more decision making, things like that. What are some things that any hiccups? Matthew knows this. Like, did you butt heads with your parents at all on anything? How's that? Or are you butting heads with your parents or anything? How's that going?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can say is yes. I mean, I don't know how you can't, right? My dad and I get along really great. We always have. He's a great dad, always has been, a great leader at work, but we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Now he has gotten to a point, he's getting more and more laxed in letting me make decisions, but there's been plenty of times where he has just told me, that's not a good decision. And there was a time when I would just honestly get pissed at that and say, well, you want me to make these decisions, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm really trying to learn more from him and ask him the questions. Why? Why is this not a good idea? Or why should we do it this way? And, I guess you get to a point in life where you're trying to consume the wisdom that is available to us, whether it's family, whether it's the new people you get to meet. It's like I'm at a point in my life where I just want to soak up all the wisdom I can from people. And that helps a lot when you have come at it with that mindset instead of just, okay, no, this is how I want to do it. And, end of story. But yeah, so we've butt heads plenty of time. I mean, I thought he was going to kill me as a teenager, which he probably should have multiple times, but I survived and here I am.
Yeah. How active is he still in the business?
He is here almost every day. He's really good at numbers. He loves the numbers of the business. Of course, we all love him when the numbers are trending up, but he's just a numbers guy. So he likes to think about that. He's the one that I will go to when I'm asking about how much we should charge. If we have somebody that wants to, just yesterday, I asked him how much we should charge this potential customer that want to rent out this building from us for a month. So he's the one that I have to go to and say, okay, what do you think that's worth to us and to them? And, he handles a lot of our banking still, a lot of the banking, if we need to get set up a line of credit, he's the one that kind of organizes that and puts his mind to it. How should we structure it? How should we boom the money from here to there? He's the one that typically moves cash from different places to keep it, all aiming in the best direction. So he's here almost every day. The actual operation of the business, he's very uninvolved, which is good. It's been a slow transition. I was the general manager for, I don't remember exactly how long, but probably 6 or 8 years. And then now I've been the president for about the same. So been kind of leadership. So this trend has been trending to more and more relaxed on his side, more and more involvement on my side for the last 10 to 12 years, probably.
Yeah. So just to give our listeners some perspective, I mean, what size organization are you? How many team members or any sort of stats you're comfortable sharing that gives you a sense of size?
This year, we're running around 70 people total in the organization. There was a point last year where we actually had an evening crew working, so we got to right at 100. That's kind of been the most that we've ever had. It really fluctuates quite a bit. We haven't, in the last several years, we haven't had quite the fluctuations, but it definitely does still fluctuate. So we're in the middle of a downturn right now in our area. And so we're cutting down. So I would honestly, probably within the next couple of weeks, we'll be down to about 60 people.
How are you able to scale up and down like that? I mean, are you union or are you merit shop or? No
union. Yeah. So it's funny. We have people that ask us all the time, how do we stay, filled up with people when we need them? And I honestly believe it has a lot to do with the culture that we have. Let's say, give you a perfect example. When we go speak to the teams and say, okay, we're going to have to do a layoff, because they all know it's coming. They see the work dwindling down. They're used to it. They're all in our industry. But we tell them that 9 times out of 10, they will say, man, I completely understand. Call me when it picks back up. I'll come right back. And so that's literally what we do. We'll have all the people. We hate to get rid of them, but at the same time, we have to look out for the betterment of the company as a whole. And we tell them, we'd love to have you come back when stuff picks up. And they say, sure, man, just give us a call.
What do they do when between
they'll go to another fabricator. I mean, we have quite a few in there. So we have a lot of industry in this area. So not necessarily a lot of competition for us, but so we're kind of unique in the fact that we fabricate piping, pressure vessels, structural steel, skid packages, kind of a large gamut of things. There's a lot of individual fabricators in our area within a 40-mile radius that will do one of what we do. So there's a lot of work. And even in the chemical plants, a lot of these workers will go work in the chemical plants as a welder or fabricator.
Do you do anything? And I'm asking a lot of questions because I'm genuinely curious about this for our sake as well. We're also a merit-based shop, and we, just like everybody, fight for talent. We've been real reluctant to scale up for bigger jobs and then lay people off. Like right now, we're at a place where we're probably turning work away because we're not going to scale up that much. And so, anyways, my question would be: do you do anything to help those folks get placed in jobs, or you feel confident enough they're all going to go find work? I mean, I get a sense just a little bit. I've talked to you and looking at your LinkedIn and what I heard about your father, that, I mean, you guys respect your people and feel like, sort of servant leadership mentality. So, I'm just curious how what you do for those folks when you lay them off, if anything.
Well, you're in all honesty, your question kind of hits me kind of hard, because I don't really do anything for them to help them with the placement. If somebody was to ask me, because I know most of the owners of the fab shops around here, and if someone was to ask me, hey, do you know so and so at this shop? Can you put in a good word? I would have no problem. But the fact of me being intentional about asking them, what can I do to help? I have not done that.
Okay. Yeah,
but I should.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious, and sounds like you're pretty confident they all find work, but I guess maybe I'm just, I'm asking for my own sake of maybe we could be more aggressive about scaling up a little bit. We've always been a little reluctant to do that at times. And I'm always afraid too, if we lay people off, we won't get them back. But like you said, if you invest in your culture and you treat people right, sometimes going to another shop really is the best thing that can happen for them to appreciate, what they have. So
Yeah, absolutely. And
speaking
when it comes
of
to the scaling up, I think, for us, we kind of like to get into challenges where we get out of our comfort zone. And if it is scaling up and something that we're not typically used to, then it's like, okay, let's do it. Now we try to plan the best we can and make the right decisions, but at the same time, we look at those kind of challenges as a positive and just try to roll with it.
yeah, that's awesome.
But of course, you want to try to once you get that crew built up, then you want to try to get the business to maintain it. Because again, you end up with these great people and you're like, man, I can't lose. I don't want to lose any one of these people. So now we got to build the backlog so that we keep them all working. But it's not always feasible.
Oh yeah, it's a never-ending battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What you talk about your culture? What are some things that you guys do? Like, are you guys pretty intentional about your culture? Is it pretty organic? I think it's, for me, a lot of times it's like yes to both those questions. Like, culture comes organically, but once you start getting and recognizing that you have a good culture, then you need to be intentional about making sure that people know what your culture is all about, like who you need to be attracting to work for you when they come here. What's it going to be like when they work here? And how do you keep it being the way that you want it to be so that these people want to come back if they leave or if they want to stay there, for their careers or whatever? What are some things you do for you guys' culture?
One of the thing that we do that gets the most, I'll call it publicity, is like what our weekly challenges, which we do almost weekly. It's just a simple thing. And somebody asked me not too long ago how we even started doing this, and I can't remember how or why we started doing it, but I know we've done it for years, many years. And we'll just do a challenge. Let's just say, for instance, we did one for Easter on the Easter week, and it was an egg challenge. So literally we have a staff meeting every Monday morning, 10 o'clock. The entire company's there. We buy breakfast, some kind of breakfast for the entire team. I typically show some type of little motivational video, brief talk about what's some things going on in the company. I might have, a couple of weeks ago, I had the estimating department give a just a little talk about all the things that they're bidding so that the guys in the shop might know, okay, here's some stuff that's actually going on that might be some potential work. Sometimes we'll have a guest speaker come in. I don't do that as often as I should, but I need to. And then we'll typically have some type of challenge after that. And by challenge, I mean, okay, we might see who can do the most push-ups in 2 minutes, or we've done wall sits, we've done dead hangs. The one I was talking about for Easter, we did an egg race where you hold a spoon and you got an egg in it and you have to race to this line and back, and whoever's the first one wins. And on almost all of our challenges, anybody that participates, we make them pay $5. That's just the gimme. $5 to enter. We put it all in a pot. Winner takes the pot. So the pot might be $100. It's been up to $180 to $200, depending on how popular the challenge is. So we do those almost weekly, and that has become really a kind of a staple here for us because it's great camaraderie. You get a lot of trash talk. You get 70 guys in a shop. There's going to be a whole lot of trash talk, and that's one of my favorite parts is listening to all that. If it's a team sport, so not too long ago we did tug of war. We've done that a couple times. So it's completely random teams. So you get 5 guys on a team. They're not on the same team out in the shop, but they'll know each other. But then it's a little bit of a team effort there, and they're working together. It's funny. I was just telling my leadership team in our meeting today, on our tug of war video. Every now and then I'll get a message from somebody and they're questioning my safety habits because of these challenges that we do. And so I had a guy reach out to me about our tug of war challenge, saying that I really should be probably more careful with these challenges because he would hate to see somebody fall and hurt their shoulder and get an OSHA complaint for something that you're trying to make for good. And I would have taken his comment more serious if he hadn't said the words, if they're pulling on the rope and the rope snaps, then somebody is liable to fall and hurt themselves. And I was telling my leadership team this, and I laughed because just the concept, because people don't understand, right? But this rope is like literally rated for 35,000 pounds. So it's a massive rope. So just the picture of the rope snapping in my head almost made me chuckle. But I get those kind of comments on a regular basis. Like, what are you going to do if somebody falls and they get hurt? I'm like, What am I going to do if they're walking into the office and they fall and get hurt? It's the same thing. There's no way I would trade this energy, this fun, this little joy in this day for worried about saying, oh, well, it's not safe. I'm sorry. And I'm a huge Mike Rowe fan from Dirty Jobs. Yeah. So I don't know if y'all are or not. But his little concept of safety third, I love it, and I talk about it all the time. But if safety literally was first, you wouldn't drive to work because the road is the most dangerous place you could be. Yep. So let's be honest.
I say that all the time. I said at the end of the day, we're going to leave here, and you got to stay on your side of the road, and I got to stay on my side of the road. And I mean, you can do everything. You can wear your seatbelt and do all things, but at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, that is awesome. So we have a weekly meeting too, and you're one of the few people I've ever talked to that has a weekly team meeting with the size that you are. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about that. So you do that every Monday, you said, every Monday morning?
Every Monday morning.
How long does this meeting last total?
10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Same with us, 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah. But it costs a lot of money to do that. I mean, you're losing at least a half an hour of production by the time they stop and go to the meeting and then start back up again. I wouldn't trade our meeting for the world either. We have multiple locations now, and everyone comes together in a common place at each place. And then we video broadcast it, of course, and then we take turns hosting it from different locations. But I'm already thinking to myself, how can we do these challenges and rotate them around the different locations? And I'm stealing that idea.
Go for it, man. Go for
cool.
it.
Yeah.
It's like the Nick's mustache challenge, man. It's just your guys a little safer.
Yeah, that's a good.
Come on, I gotta hear it.
That's a good example. Yeah. So, and I can't take any credit for this. One of our vice presidents did, but every year we would have to. Well, it started out our coating shop. So we have a paint and powder coat shop as well. Well, they'd have to do their respirator fit test every year per OSHA. So they got to be clean shaven for the respirator fit test. So you tell a bunch of guys they got to shave their beard and they're all pissing and moaning. But instead he told them, hey, we're going to do a mustache competition. And that just so happens to coincide with the day that we're doing the respirator fit test. Yeah. So these guys would grow these absurd
handlebars, man.
And then so we'd get the finalists up there, and then we would get like a lookalike, a Hollywood lookalike mustache and put it up there next to him. And then we had a panel that would vote on the winner. And
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
It was a good. So you can adopt the mustache challenge if you want.
But even virtually, like that, I think that was
it works good virtually.
Virtually, like I remember, like when they were judging, the guys would get up on the camera, throw the mustache off, and I remember I was like, how are they gonna do this virtually? Because obviously, if you in person, it has this energy, but it had just as good of energy virtually. And I was like, all right, I see that.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. But I love the concept, right? You're taking something, but you're just twisting it to add a little bit of fun to it. Instead of, okay, you have to shave. You have to do this. You have to make your fit test. Do something fun. It's add a little bit of flavor to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
amazing.
Great advice. Yeah, I think you're fairly active on LinkedIn, or at least active to some extent. So talk a little bit about that, and how's that impacted your business? Do you have any sort of personal strategy or philosophy around that? And just talk a little bit about, the way you use social media for your business.
I've been struggling with this here lately as to let's just say we as a company, what we as a company get out of LinkedIn. I personally, I've become a major student of networking and building my own network. I've come up with the goal. I want to be one of these super connectors, right? I love when somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, I'm looking for somebody that does this, or I'm looking for somebody that does, business taxes, or I'm looking for somebody to help me with this issue. And I love being that say, oh, I've got the guy you've got to meet. I've got the person I connect you with. So that's, to me, what LinkedIn is just ultimately paid for itself is creating that network. Now, granted, having the however many thousand followers you have, it doesn't give you personal connections. But when you can take a small portion of those connections and turn them into personal relationships, I think that's where the real power is. And I don't think that I can't think of a single time where LinkedIn has brought me a customer, brought Top Coat a customer. But getting and honestly, the challenges that we put up, I put almost all our videos up on our challenges.
Yeah, I'm looking at your LinkedIn right now. Yeah, that's really cool.
The comments we get on those challenges and stuff is like, man, it looks like a fun place to work. Or, man, I love how clean y'all and organized your shop is, because we just do it as is. And in reality, I feel like it makes people almost feel like we would be either a fun place to work at, a fun company to work for, or, a good partner to do business with. Like, that's what I think that's ultimately, it's creating that opportunity to get to know somebody. They get a little taste of who we are. We are a very different business than most fabricators, very different business than most businesses in general. And it's just like, okay, it sounds like great people. Sounds like, and it's not me. We have a great team. So when a client comes in here and they visit our shop, it's not me they visit with. It's the people of the leadership team or quality or whoever they're meeting with. And it's like, man, you guys just have a great energy around here. And that's what I try to portray out on LinkedIn, is the energy of our place. And very seldom nowadays do I even put anything about what we do. I used to put, nothing about, okay, well, here's a picture of some pipe we fabricated. Here's a picture of, this project we got going on. And it didn't bring us any business either. And so now, and this is unintentional, I'm just kind of unraveling this in my head while we're talking, but now I almost put nothing but who we are. Like, everything I put up is really about who we are.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips. I want to give you 3 quick reasons why you should check out Mike Payne's podcast, By the Numbers. Mike, my good buddy, my partner on Making Chips, is full of wisdom. He's full of experience. He's full of what it takes to buy, sell, and lead a business, specifically a manufacturing business. So all the numbers that you should be focused on to improve your performance, that's what he's the master at. The second reason, Mike's the first person I call. If I'm looking at a new idea, a new partnership opportunity, a new acquisition, any new initiative where I need to dive into the numbers and figure out how to approach it, Mike is who I go to. And third, you got to love that buttery Tulsa King voice that Mike rocks. It just soothes your soul. It gives you the confidence to elevate your leadership. Jokes aside, if you love making chips, or if you're just passionate about improving your business performance and the financial performance of your company, check out By the Numbers by Making Chips, hosted by my good buddy, Mike Payne.
Yep.
Y'all doing the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's authentic. What you're doing is authentic. And I think you're selling yourself short saying that you're not getting business because of it. Now, people don't email you or call you and say, hey, I saw your post on LinkedIn. Here's an RFQ. But what happens is they see that, they connect with it, and you're just, you're top of mind to them. They're aware of you. And I think or they're referring you. I think you're getting business, without knowing it. I'm always shocked when I'm out and about and I have these people that tell me that they follow us on social media and they appreciate my post or the company's post, and they're not people that ever like or comment or interact, so you don't know.
Right.
But there's a lot of those people like that.
They're the hidden advocates.
The hidden in the shadows.
Yeah. They're your fans, and they're like, man, keep going, keep doing what you're doing. So that leads me into another thing I want to comment on and ask you about. So the guest we just had on, Megan Zimba, right before you, she's a really talented storyteller and professional marketer and content creator. But we were just talking about this, and she said, you're not going to, when you think marketing, just like operations, you're not going to be everything to everybody. And you've got to find the people that connect with your brand and your story and your culture, and don't be bashful about that. And so one of the things that I noticed right away on yours, and this stuck out to me, was just see right here on Good Friday, you shared something about faith in your post, and a lot of people in business would not have the courage to do that. I applaud you for that for numerous reasons. As a fellow Christian, you can see what my backdrop is here on I make sure my podcast, I have that in the backdrop as much as I can, but it's just a subtle little way to get that in there. the rest of the world's getting their side of the story in as much as they can. So we're going to get our side in. But I also applaud you because, you're just, I think it's like, hey, this is who we are. And if you don't like that, that's fine. And I think that that's good for business too. Not only are you sharing some good news, but it's good for business because, I mean, not everybody's going to be attracted to that, but I think enough people are that they're saying, all right, at least Jason and Top Coat, at least they are who they are, and they're not afraid to say who they are. So I think that's cool. I don't know if you have anything extra you want to comment about that particular topic or even just in general.
No, I mean, I agree with you. It's just trying to, sharing who we are authentically, who we are. Not perfect, not any of this, but the things that we like to be here, the things we like to have our business be here. We're just trying to broadcast that, out to the world. And I mean, we've had so many people. I've had so many people reach out to me and say, I love the culture that you've built. I love that y'all do these challenges. I love this. I love everything about it. And then, some people will ask me, how did you create it? Oh, man, I don't know. It's just been, years and years of these tiny little things.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't wake up one day and say, okay, now we're going to have a great culture. It's going to be perfect. Everybody's going to be happy. Everybody's going to want to work here. It doesn't work that way. And I've made so many mistakes in leadership over the years and try to learn from those mistakes and not make them twice and just make these little bitty tweaks. And it's something that will evolve until I'm dead and gone, because it's going to be, the culture here is my passion. That's one of the biggest things that I love about this company. And trying to find new ways to embed just a deeper culture every single time is the goal. But it's a million little things that we do. It's not one big thing. It's not the challenges. It's not the 10 o'clock Monday meetings. It's not any one of them. It's a combination of all of them. And I tell people all the time, you just got to start. Just start somewhere. Do one little thing. If it doesn't work, then you back up and punt. You try something different. But I remember when we first started having meetings, like literally a meeting, the 10 o'clock Monday meeting, it was like pulling teeth to get people to come to. I would have people that just wouldn't show up, and we were a really small business then. People just wouldn't show up, and they're like, no, I'm not going to that, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't give in. I just said, no, this is when the meeting is. This is when we're meeting. You come in there. So I'm like, okay, I'll bribe you with breakfast. So when we start bringing breakfast, well, that turns out to be a pretty good bribing point. So people weren't. So it's these little bitty things, and you got to just stick with it and follow your heart. Like you said, Matthew, you follow your heart and you just be your honest self, and you just don't give up and keep digging.
That's great advice. That's awesome. I'd love to come visit you someday, and the door's open for you to come visit us.
Absolutely. We should make both of those happen.
I think it's so important to, people have opened the doors for shops for me to come to, and we do that all the time for people. We had folks in from Tulsa, Oklahoma last week, and we've had people in from all over. It's always an honor to host people, and I learn so much every time I go somewhere. And we all do relatively the same stuff. We have a structural shop as well. We have a custom shop. The only thing I think we don't do that you do is pipe fab. But we all do relatively the same stuff, and sometimes you get a great operational takeaway from it. Sometimes there's something earth shattering, but usually not. But it's like had we not done this podcast, probably the biggest takeaway I would have got from visiting you is learning about this meeting that you do. And that's what I think people need to understand is like, they say, oh, what am I going to get out of that? But man, and like you said, the relationships, you're going to take away something every time. So I would love to share that with you.
Yes, that would be cool. And I guess it's funny when you mentioned you never know what you're going to get. So like I said, in the meetings, most of the times I'll show a quick, I go on YouTube and I'll just find like a 3 to 5 minute video, something that speaks to me, right? Finding a clean one nowadays is getting harder and harder, but I'm always trying to find something that motivates. And we play those most of the time. Well, not too long ago, I had one of our painters. He came up to me and we were talking, and he was telling me about some stuff he was doing with his family and money and whatnot. And he mentioned that, hey, you showed this video this one day, and it talked about finances and how, I don't even remember what the whole concept was, but he said that video really struck me, and I made some changes in my life, and because of that, I've been able to do this and this and this, and with help support my family in all these different ways. And I was like, so it's that little bitty thing. You never know who it's going to touch. It might just touch one person. It might touch 10. It might touch nobody. But you never know unless you just put it out there.
Yeah, that's so
and like
awesome.
I said, it's the little bitty things.
Yeah, those stories like that are what make it worthwhile, and that's what. If you're in our industry, you ride the ups and downs, and I tell people that's what gets me up out of bed every day and keeps me going. Is we bought it's called a Smart Dollar program, and it's Dave Ramsey sponsors it, or it's, I guess I shouldn't say sponsors it. It's his product. We sponsored it. We bought it for all of our team members, and it's a great product. They have an app on their phone. And, really.
That's the budgeting app, right?
Yeah, it's a budgeting tool, but it gives them free one-on-one coaching. Well, it's not free. We pay for it. But there's a package as an employer. You can buy the package. And we bought that because I felt like that was something I really wanted to do for our team. And we're trying to get 50% of our people using it. We're not quite there yet. My wife's been really leading the charge on that effort. But anyways, to that point, I've had people tell me like, man, I paid off my credit card, or we're saving, we've never went to Disney. We're saving to go to take the kids to Disney, and like just really cool stuff. So we
makes
have
it all worth it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have an opportunity, and I think a responsibility as employers to do this. And a lot of people don't have good financial skills. And so it's a great.
That's great, man. I'm a huge Dave Ramsey fan. He helped me and my wife completely turn our financial world around about 12, 13 years ago, and lived on a budget ever since. But that's cool. I didn't know that they offered that Smart Dollar for an employer package.
Yeah, you ought to look into that. I'd be happy to connect you with our head of HR,
please do.
My wife's involved in that too. And they could talk to you guys if you want to. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, man, this has been great. Casey, any last questions you have, or Jason?
No, I just want you talked about I just want to compliment you on you talk about how you change your LinkedIn to be more about who you are and stuff. But something I think that's really cool is what Matthew said, like going to your website and seeing you guys have invested in some video. You guys invested, obviously your website looks really nice. And I think in the manufacturing and fabrication industry as a whole, they've always kind of been behind a little bit in that kind of stuff, because they're like, is it really going to make a difference for me? And really it doesn't. The overall it's all about perception, your public perception, and you can still pay for these nicer things like a website and stuff like that, and still let your culture show through, and still let your authenticity show through. And I think, I just want to compliment. It seems like you guys are doing a great job with that. I know, at the very beginning of this conversation, Matthew may ask a hard question with when you talk about the layoffs and stuff like that. But I think you did a great job of handling that in the sense of you can tell that's a hard thing for you to talk about. And I'm a small business, and I can't imagine. I've had some conversations like that already, and it was, I have to lean on Matthew. I go, how do I have these conversations? And anyway, I just applaud the way you're running your business. You're doing a great job, Jason.
I appreciate that, Casey.
Yeah, your honesty and authenticity came through in that answer for sure. So, yeah, just appreciate you being on here so much. I really look forward to staying in touch. I mean that. I'm going to send you a copy of our book, and need to get your mailing address, and let's stay in touch. And the door's always open to visit us. I'd love to visit you sometime.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen. I really appreciate y'all honoring me with being on this conversation today.
How can people reach out to you, Jason, if they want to connect? I guess LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'd be lying if I told you what my profile name was, but it's, Jason Hayes and I work at Top Coat Fab. So I guess if you type that into the search, or our website is topcoatfab.com. Check that out, and that's it.
Awesome. Well, Jason, I think you can appreciate how we sign off. If you're not making sparks,
You're not making money.
that's the truth.
That's a fact. Appreciate it, guys.